let's go to the brain. So we're going to do arteries first, and to remind ourselves, let's go ahead and do, who was the first guy to branch off the aortic arch? It was brachiocephalic. At the point where the common carotid branches off of brachiocephalic, now, so this is brachiocephalic, then we turn into subclavian, subclavian. The common carotid artery is, obviously, it's going to split up here. We need to know where, okay, there's somebody else that's important, and it is, let's deal with common carotid first. So common carotid is going to branch into the external carotid and the internal carotid. Now, I want you to visualize this for a second. Here comes the common carotid artery. Where's the, this is the right. Where's the left? It's right here. So it's going to do the same thing, just coming directly off the aortic arch. Off of the common carotid, the internal is going to go through your carotid canal and go to your brain. The external goes to your face. So external carotid artery feeds your face. Internal carotid artery feeds your brain. I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit all this on here. A little bit more space. Our internal carotid artery is actually going to feed directly into this fascinating structure that we will call the circle of Willis. And it's actually a literal circle of arteries, and it does have, each little piece of it has a name, but we're going to just go with circle of Willis, and the internal carotid artery feeds into that. Now, I'm changing my color, and we're going to green, not because there's green blood going through, but because we have somebody else that is going to be doing something here. We have the vertebral arteries that branch off of subclavian as well. Now, watch how this works. The vertebral arteries actually, I can't go too slow. They branch off, and then they come up. Now, think back. Vertebral arteries. How do they get there? How do they get to your brain? They travel through the transverse foramina in the cervical vertebrae. Remember those little holes in the cervical vertebrae that made them so cool? Well, the vertebral arteries and the vertebral veins travel through those holes to the brain. And so there's actually going to be two of them. Now watch and be fascinated by this little fact. This is my vertebral artery. This is my vertebral, well, the whole thing is my vertebral artery, vertebral artery. And then the vertebral arteries from each side actually join into, oh, this is terrible, but they join into an artery called the basilar artery. And the basilar artery feeds directly into the circle of Willis. So does the internal carotid artery. So this is an example of collateral circulation where, let's just pretend like all hell breaks loose and you get a clot in one of those, in the internal carotid or the basilar artery. As long as you don't have a clot in both, you still are going to be able to deliver blood to your brain, and that is really thankful. Are you thankful? Yeah, don't get a clot, so quit smoking. Let's see what else happens here. Where do you think the vertebral artery comes off of? It actually comes off of subclavian on this side as well. How's that? Perfect. This is how we get blood to the brain. We got to drain it. Shall we go down and actually do our drain? I kind of halfway want to try to do the drain on the same picture. Please forgive me. Ready? Do you remember that from, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. That was just too crazy. talk me off the edge. Ledge, talk me off that ledge. Look, here's my superior vena cava that comes up and it branches into my two brachiocephalic veins. And then guess who we have doing their thing here? I have a picture somewhere. What do I do with that picture? We'll try this. We'll try this one. Before we turn into subclavian, branching off of our brachiocephalic, we have an internal jugular vein and an external jugular vein. Internal jug, external jug. And the interesting thing, these are specific vessels. What do you think the internal jug drains? Because remember, blood is draining here. The internal jugular vein drains your brain. The external jugular vein drains your face. And then when you get into your brain, there are lots of veins in there, but they're sinuses. They're big open spaces. And there are a couple of sinuses that we have to know. The superior sagittal sinus, you can imagine where that is, and the transverse sinus, which is closer to the occipital lobe. And those guys drain into the internal jugular vein, which drains into brachiocephalic, which drains into superior vena cava, and back into the right atrium. We traveled to the brain, and we traveled back again. Now we get to do the phenomenal abdominal aorta man.